And we know that we had told you about that scandal that had rocked Ghana sports once again. And this time it involves our participation in the ongoing, perhaps just about ending that tournament, the Commonwealth Games taking place in Gold Coast, Australia. We had just in excess 50 people posing as journalists, like myself, Mama Bio Sabuaje, who is here.
I saw Benedict's name in that list. I saw Modestus as well.
And we have some great people around here. Benedict is here to help us with a conversation. Eko Asma, a known sports journalist. We like using this phrase veteran. There's no veteran. Larry Kane is still practicing. So, but just in case you want to get a lot more of him, please make sure that you go to ekoasmasports.com. You get the latest. He's already been posting on Juventus, Bayern Munich, etc. So he's really into football, into sports, etc.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Good morning to you. Thank you for making the time.
It's a great privilege for me to be in the hallowed environment of your
and it's good you're not a sports minister. I'm sure by this time you would have been jinxed.
But can we even think of a period when we've taken part in a major tournament that we haven't been rocked by one scandal or the other?
I think it's because over the past few years, I wouldn't say a decade, but the past few years, increasingly we've been taking days off from oversight, honesty, transparency, dignity, integrity. We've been taking too many days off without any proportionate accountability and or punishment. So this yesterday's announcement from the Jubilee House, it's a great shot in the arm in terms of really changing the narrative about oversight and responsibility. So it's very welcome. But I think the emphasis should be on the word preliminary.
Yeah.
Because I don't think this is the end of it.
Yeah.
But does this mean anything at all?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of legacy, because we know of what happened post Brazil 2014. You know, all kinds of resources, hard-earned resources were, I would say wasted, because really after the commission and the white paper directives and all that, even the subsequent sports ministers that were supposed to be the enforcers in chief, one of them turned out to be the violator in chief. Instead of being the person to enforce it, he was downright violating it without any recourse to any action against him. Eventually he got removed. But I'm saying, if you're given the responsibility of actually enforcing it, how do you then turn around to violate it without any repercussions?
Yeah.
You know, so this is a great shot in the arm. It will be a legacy on the part of Nana Addo Dankwa, because it's preliminary. We'll see in the end how it pans out. But then it sends a message to the youth about responsibility. Because if you mess up, you're not going to go without any stiff deterrence.
Okay, so that's what this indicates.
Yes.
Okay.
And for me, more importantly, to the youth. Because if the elders of our community get away with stuff, you know, growing up, the elder is always right in our setting. So now we're going to change the narrative that the elder is not always right.
Yeah.
It is important for the youth to learn that lesson.
Benedict, I saw your name in that list. I don't know if Roland had already asked you.
I haven't asked him before.
Okay, but
I've been teasing him about other people around here like Modestus.
Did you apply?
That's not the question.
I am asking you the question. Then you said that's not the question.
You mean that's not the focus of forward?
No. Wait. Let me make this friendly for you.
Yeah.
I saw your name in that list. Why didn't you go to the Commonwealth Games?
Thank you. But what happened was, multimedia wanted to send journalists to the Commonwealth Games, and myself and Modestus were chosen to go and cover the games.
Okay.
And initially, what is done is that if you have to go through your visa application process, you'd have to get a letter from the company. So what we did was, we wanted to get a letter from the GOC, an introductory letter, which will either say apply for a visa at the Australian Embassy. So what we did was, we took a letter from Multimedia to GOC, myself and Modestus. So the list you saw was a list that the GOC compiled, a list of journalists that the GOC compiled, that journalists who sent in letters for introductory letters from the GOC.
Okay.
So that was a list you saw.
All right.
So it wasn't a list that was released by the Australian High Commission or the Border Control of Australia.
Next question. Did you get your introductory letter?
Then no, I didn't get my introductory letter.
Did you get any explanation? Did you get a phone call?
What happened was the introductory letter was put in one. That was what I was told by the press attaché. That's Ken.
You mean they had a generic introductory letter?
No, not that. What they did was they didn't want to issue an introductory letter for each media house.
Okay.
What they wanted to do is lump it, make it one.
Okay.
So if, let's say, 30 journalists are requesting for an introductory letter, we make it one letter with the names of all the journalists attached to the embassy.
And your name was attached to the embassy?
No, he's not sure if this list got there.
The list did not get there because I stopped
following up.
I stopped with the process. What happened was something else happened, so we had to forget about going through the GOC, the introduction.
Can I ask another question? Do you know if anybody went in your name?
That I can't tell, and it won't be possible. It won't be possible that anybody will go in my name because the accreditation. This is what happened. The main accreditation for the Olympic Games, when I applied, it was late. Yeah, the Commonwealth Games. So I was not given that accreditation, but rather I got a Gold Coast Media Center accreditation.
Okay.
Which there's a password and a username that I can only access.
Okay.
So apart from me, there is no other person who can have access to that. So even if you should travel to, you'll be asked for the passport number, which I have.
It's peculiar
and
to
my
you.
Picture.
Okay.
So there is no way.
But is it possible? So is it possible that somebody could travel in the name of the company you wanted to represent?
That's possible. That's so possible.
That's already happened.
Yeah, that's what would really happen.
So some imposter has already gone to Australia in the name of
so is it possible they compiled the list that we are all seeing on which we had Benedict's name and Modesto's name. They looked at it and said that, look, company by company, let's just substitute the names and leave the companies the same. Is it possible?
That's possible.
That's what happened.
Yeah, and you know what? Isaiah Man, one of the guys who traveled
Isaac Ofori.
Yeah, Isaac Ofori.
It's called Isaiah Man.
Yeah, when they spoke to him, he said when they got to the airport, what he realized was that some journalists, some people perceived or claimed to be journalists from other stations. I mean, we know ourselves.
You and who?
Oh, of course, the sports.
I mean,
the fraternity.
You know ourselves. And when we travel, when you travel and you see your colleague, you know that this person works here.
Yeah.
He saw names of people from other media houses, and he could not relate.
He was familiar with the media houses, but not the names.
Not the names. Where is this guy coming from? So one of our platforms, the guy posted that if you are from this so and so media house and you are coming, please don't come because there is somebody already here who is claiming it's from your media house.
Yeah.
That is in big trouble. You understand? So the background of the thing is, when we went into the games and all these issues came up, ABN did a story about how some Ghanaian journalists have been detained at the airport. And then I think it was just some 2 hours or 3 hours later, the wrote a rejoinder. In that story, they fingered the Deputy Sports Minister and the National Sports Authority boss, that they were involved according to their checks. That some of the people they spoke to said the Deputy Sports Minister and the National Sports Authority boss took monies from them. Okay. And then later, they wrote a rejoinder that, even the story that they wrote were not correct. Some of the facts in the story were not correct. So it wasn't the Sports Minister and then the National Sports Authority boss. So that was when the Sports Minister started going from media house to media house, clearing his name.
You mean the deputy?
Sorry, the Deputy Sports Minister.
So before his suspension, he had been clearing his name?
Yeah, he has been. Yeah, he was even on this platform. He spoke on this platform. He spoke on Joy FM and other media houses, as well as the National Sports Authority boss, going around, clearing their name. So that was how it came about.
Ms. Asma, these people who have now been suspended, do we know exactly what role they played in this? What has come up? What's the allegation?
For instance, Pius is the chairman of the International Games Committee, so definitely he should be the first on the list.
Okay.
Whether the allegations will stick or not. And then NSA acting director. It's strange. He's not been confirmed. He's acting, and it's already been muddied with this. So what are the chances that he escapes punishment? And he's claimed innocence, just as Pius. And I think it's in order. I understand that the substantive sports minister has undergone questioning from the BNI. I can't substantiate it, but that's what I heard. So I don't think that definitely this list would come out and it sounds strange that, where's the minister? Why are we dealing with the deputy sports minister? Well, the deputy sports minister heads the International Games Committee. And if something has come up of it, and I'm sure he, like I said, preliminary, based on the preliminary investigations, his name's come up. And the sports minister himself has undergone questioning. If they didn't get anything on him, then his name wouldn't be in there. If they got something on him or any kind of suspicion, his name would be in there. So, and I think eventually, maybe by the end of this week even, we'll get some more names. Because this is not complete. I know of other areas that need to be investigated, even including the media community.
Yeah. And the federation
heads. The media community, the federation heads. By Monday, a lot more names would come up.
Okay. I can understand why you would include the deputy minister because of the position, but the board chairman of the NSA?
He's in Australia. Kojo Bajima. Together
we're told that they were recalled.
Yes, to help with the investigation. So,
you know what happens is all the federations. There are over 30 federations we have.
Like
and the federations are qualified.
Tennis, hockey,
yeah, tennis, hockey, boxing, badminton, cycling, and the others. All these ones fall under the National Sports Authority.
Exactly.
So when we are going for games of this nature, Commonwealth will not deal with the National Sports Authority, rather they will deal with the GOC.
Yes.
But because these federations fall under the National Sports Authority, the National Sports Authority with the GOC and the ministry must work, because the ministry is providing the funds because it's a national thing, and that the government must provide the funds. That's how the ministry will come in. And then because the federations are under the National Sports Authority, they will also come in. And the GOC, their relationship with the international body will come in, so they work. So with the National Sports Authority, because the federations fall under them, and normally when you go for games and the athletes are complaining, they don't complain to the GOC. They complain to the National Sports Authority.
They are national athletes.
Yeah, and the athlete. Because at the All Africa Games in Congo, which I covered, similar issues came up where athletes were agitating because of unpaid bonuses and per diems. Everything was directed at the National Sports Authority, not the GOC. And we had Professor Dodu at the time was there as the Athletics Association chairman, because he was holding that position as well as the GOC position. And they were there. So they played very, very key role. And because the GOC office is not a public office, you can't suspend the GOC president, that's Beninu Mensah. The only thing you can do is to call him and assist with investigations. And per what we know, with the two officers who were suspended and were asked to come down, Mr. Adi and Christine.
Ashley.
Yeah, Miss or Mrs. Christine Ashley. You know, they were the entry officers, and they worked with the GOC. They were questioned. They admitted.
We don't know for a fact. We heard a statement from the GOC president that they admitted to it, but we haven't heard their statement.
The GOC president, sent a mail, and in that mail, they spoke about how they interrogated them. Yeah,
but we haven't heard from them. They haven't heard from them. They haven't admitted to
so
confessing.
They sent them home.
So the chef de maison, what has he got to do with invitations?
He's the final authority.
I thought his job was the athletes.
No, see, Benedict was talking about the entries.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the chef de mission is the final authority on the list. So if there's any quote-unquote kululu, even if he did not input the kululu, he's ultimately responsible for that list. Before it goes to the organizing committee in Australia, he would see the list. So even if he didn't take any part, if he failed to do due diligence, well, it's a competence red flag. Then he has to pay for it.
It's a shame, because I had him on the BBC, and I think the following morning I came on the show and I was even using what he had said, that we're going to the Gold Coast for gold, as in from Gold Coast to Gold Coast for gold. And
so
now
he's a great champion of that.
There's another that you mentioned, per diem, and then we're told that they haven't actually even received per diem. Those who are actually there to do the real job.
They hadn't, as at last night.
We're not sure that.
We hear they've already received their. But there was an outstanding $400.
They have to make noise about it, like it has to be reported before.
Well, you see, I like this culture of the aluta, because if you don't, then you won't get your money.
You mean the African setting?
Yes, because you see, that's what I was talking about, oversight and responsibility. We're taking too many days off. Typically, athletes get cheated. Remember Brazil 2014? They were waiting for their money and never happened.
So they always
and they had to do a luta before they got their money. So it tells you about the quality of governance we have in this part of our world. The first world is the first world because they really don't wait till the 11th hour to attend to this.
But you know what is sad also? We're not talking about medals. We're sitting here, and I think this has been the second time that we're discussing the issue.
We're not
talking about the medals. Everything has been overshadowed by this. Please, what did we get? Because I missed it.
We got a really big gold medal in embarrassment and disgrace. It's amazing.
And we got bronze last time.
Seemed like that was the target the whole time when there was a Gold Coast for gold. That was the target. We just didn't get the memo. We didn't get it.
All right.
They kept it in there. But you see, what's really key that I think we need to investigate even further is that the president of the GOC, Ben Nuno Mensah, and the first vice president, Paul Acho, they had both the weightlifting and the volleyball federation. Now, guess what? Those two officers that were expelled initially happened to be general secretaries of the weightlifting federation and the volleyball federation. I mean, how ironic is that? What are the chances that the general secretary of the president's federation and the general secretary of the first vice president's federation happen to be the two officers that got expelled from the game? It's not by chance.
So you're saying,
oh, definitely.
What conspiracy theories are you drawing?
I'm not drawing any conspiracy. I'm dealing with the fact. It's a fact that they are general secretaries of these two.
No.
It's not by chance.
But you know, I wanted to ask you, what changed? Because I know before 2010, for all these games, the National Sports Authority boss was the chef de mission. How come now that power has been given to the GOC boss to appoint a chef de mission?
I think this NSA boss is in an acting capacity to begin with. It's not been confirmed. Because
I know Walanyo Agra was the chef de mission when we went for the games in Maputo. But now the trend has changed.
No official explanation was given the media as to why the Ben Nuno Mensah didn't head it.
But let's get to the Mensah side because I think we have to wrap up the conversation. The main issues are for us as media and for journalists and for everybody who is watching is the thing about how we need to keep tabs on people in authority and what they have to do.
Is there something peculiar? I think we've asked this at the Ministry of Sport. I mean, should we shut down the ministry? Should it be? Should we join it with another ministry, something like that? Should somebody else be responsible for these things? Should these games should it be done directly at the presidency or something like that?
No. We just have to keep holding the feet of helmsmen and helmswomen to the fire.
How do we do it?
Especially, and I want to start with the media. I think our media is too docile. Especially the sports
even after
media.
Uncovering all
the sports media is too docile.
True.
Too docile.
I think they are in bed or they are too docile?
No, too docile.
Often one person wants to travel with the officials at one game or the other.
And I'm not pleased at all with our standard. The standard should be so high that we have to elevate in order to scale it. Now it's under our foot. Now if you check, in my estimation, if you check the rankings of media in this country, sports is at the bottom. The sports media right at the bottom, and I'm not pleased at all. The standards are too low. We need to elevate.
But they get a lot of traction too, whether it's for readership, programming, and
but we have to do better. We hold officials accountable. We have to hold ourselves.
It seemed to me as though there's not enough scrutiny because some of the journalists themselves are looking at getting favors.
That's right.
Because there's so many tournaments.
It's part of the standards we're talking about.
And if you talk too much, then you will not be included in one trip or the other.
The Sports Writers Association of Ghana and the Ghana Journalists Association have to do an internal audit of his
Benedict, he doesn't talk that much.
As for the Ghana Journalists Association, I mean, that's another matter altogether.
We have to do an internal audit.
So now we're looking forward to what? You as journalists, will you be called to verify whether these people
or if I'm called, why not? I will be there to assist.
But you've said that in the coming week we'll see a lot more names.
I expect so.
Okay.
I expect so because this is not sufficient, and that's why I wanted us to focus on that word preliminary.
Preliminary, sure. Yes. Okay, so we will see where it goes from after the preliminary findings and the suspensions that have come up. We appreciate your time here on the show.
It's a great honor and privilege for me.
We should have you more.
I don't disagree with you.
Sure.
Maybe you could get some gold here for Ghana. You never know.
And as always, you can get a lot more from Eko Asma at ecoasmasport.com. He'll give you the latest. in football and whatever sports that you want.
Yeah. All right, stay with us. We'll come back with many more conversations. We've got the reigning artist of the year. We're talking the Ghana Music Awards, which is just this weekend. But surprisingly, I'm not sure the vibe is out there, you know. But we want to talk to Joe Mettle. He's been reigning for a year. What's been happening to him? How has he transformed, really? But of course, we've also got that conversation about that young lady who says that, you know, she's been living off married men to survive. Charlie, Ghana hard, so you have to survive somehow.
Can I join?
Yeah, you want to? Why you have experiences?
No experiences, but I agree with the lady.
Okay, all right. So stay with us. Stay with us. We'll be back.
I see.
You would love the conversation. Stay with us.
You agree with that?